the ground floor of this recent big betting scandal that rampaged through Korea. How's that been on the ground level for a lot of these people?
It was a really stressful time for the teams. When people were very first finding out about this, everyone tried to keep it underground so that no one would find out, because this is really looked down upon in Korea so much so that people were afraid that maybe sponsors would leave eSports. Luckily, that didn't happen, and it's been a big blow to eSports overall. I mean, some of these names that were caught were just the biggest players in the game. So it's been a pretty rough ride with that. But I think eSports is going to come right out of it, and it will be fine. It's sad to see some of the legends be completely defaced, though.
Yeah, I do you think that this might be sort of, with all the other pressures going on with Brood War at this time, that this could be almost fatal to the Brood War scene, or do you still think there's hope?
I still think there's hope. There's going to be some more Brood War going on. I can't imagine it. I mean, I recently gave an interview to Hwani, where he voiced that Starcraft 2, OSL will probably start using Starcraft 2 soon. I mean, he knows more than me, but I kind of feel like it's going to be a little bit longer than that. There's just too many people making a living off of Starcraft 1 out here to have it die off anytime soon, even with those betting scandals going on. I think that Starcraft 1 still has some shelf life in Korea, nowhere else, but definitely Korea for a little bit longer, I think.
Yeah, there's only one event I think that might lead to the end of Brood War in Korea, and it has nothing to do with betting scandals or anything like that, but that's not something we talk about on StarCraft shows. I'm talking about the incident with the boat and things like that.
The boat? Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yeah. For a minute there, I was like, "What?" No, I know what you mean. Well, I mean, obviously, if war breaks out over here, there's not going to be any more StarCraft 1 pro gaming. That's like the least needed thing in the whole country.
Yep. So let's talk about another big thing that happened in Korea, which was the deal with Greetalk, that basically gave exclusive rights to every Blizzard game ever and ever will to GOM, and then Kespa kind of got snubbed.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. Things are still settling over here. No one actually knows what's going to happen, but again, I gave Hwani that interview where he said some of his opinions on it. It's just hard to say. I think we're going to have to wait a few more weeks. I guess we'll know really what's going on towards the end of July when StarCraft 2 is about to be released, and the deadline is really coming up for OGN and NBC and Kespa. So, I really don't know how it's going to turn out. I have a lot of ideas on how it might turn out, but I couldn't even tell you, man. It's really hard.
Yeah, I'm more thinking, will Kespa even have be big enough to talk to GOM, just because Kespa kind of screwed over GOM several years ago, and so.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, these are all really great questions. I don't know. Are they going to suck up their pride and go do that? There's business-wise, it might be a good move. It might not. And then, of course, there's the Korean culture, which dictates that this might not be something acceptable. I don't know. I have a feeling they'll at least talk some, whether they announce it or not. They have to open up some sort of communication between the two. How will that end? I do not know. It's actually a really exciting time.
The latest news was that the OSL is going ahead anyway without having talks with GOM, so either they're assuming that they're going to be able to work something out with them, or they're just going to do it anyway out of principle. I don't know.
Yeah, I tell you, man, I wish I knew how this would all turn out so I could go bet on it. But no, really, I'm not sure.
So, what do you think about StarCraft 2's future in Korea? Obviously, there's already some signs that it will have itself a nice piece of the pie, but how do you think it's going to stand up to the Brood War legend in Korea?
Well, I think that eventually Brood War has to switch over to StarCraft 2. if they're going to continue doing RTS pro gaming over here, because I mean, Brood War is getting old. I can't imagine the crowd really growing for it more and more. The Korean market's already saturated with StarCraft 1. They really can't grow it. They can't make more money than they're already making. But StarCraft 2 is going to be something much more global. So, there's going to be some smart businessmen that see that and decide to make a move. And I think that they'll probably coexist for a little bit. Then it's all going to switch over to StarCraft 2. That's my guess. But of course, there's all sorts of things that could happen. For instance, let's say that it all goes really badly with GOM versus Kespa. GOM is actually government-backed. It's a possibility. I'm not saying it's overly likely, but there's a possibility that the Korean government will interfere with StarCraft 2 being big here. They can do all sorts of things. They can make it 18+ only, no matter what. They can make it so it's not even sold here. There's all sorts of things that could happen. But again, it's all just kind of us guessing at this point. It really, the only people that know exactly what's happening are the CEOs that are actually negotiating this stuff behind closed doors.
So on the ground level, there's a lot of people sort of biting their nails and watching the news very closely.
Yeah, basically. We're just sitting here waiting for scraps, figuring out exactly what's going on, what the future is going to be like here.
With all this uncertainty, would you say, have you seen anything from the actual players themselves where they're kind of nervous or worrying about this?
Well, they're getting a little bit more nervous, I think, but I don't think overly. I don't think they're really thinking about this. They actually are like robots. All they do is play StarCraft, and their coaches probably tell them, "Oh, don't worry, this is all This is all going to blow over. It's going to be fine." They want to keep them calm and stuff. So I'd be surprised if a whole lot of pro gamers even know how serious this really is. I don't think that they're too worried at this point.
And you said also when we did our interview that you were going to do a series of visits over to a bunch of the pro houses to see how they were going to acknowledge StarCraft 2. Have you? You've done a few of them. I've seen a few of them in video form since then. How has the consensus been on the houses?
Well, the players haven't really played most of them. A few of them have tried it just a little bit, but most of them are just continuing to practice. It's the coaches that really surprised me. I think all the head coaches are really excited about the switch to StarCraft 2. They realize that it's a good game. All the coaches have played it. They like it. They think, oh wow, this has potential, and definitely has potential on a global scale. So I think overall, the reaction to the actual game of StarCraft 2 is really positive over here.
Fair enough. I know that there's some players who said they're not going over. Is that still?
Yeah.
Is there? Do you have like a rough ratio? Maybe like 50%, 20% are going that way, or is most of them undecided still?
I think that the people who definitely won't switch over are the people that are towards the high end of the pro teams. People like, for instance, C. Really, in a really watched interview that I did, mentioned that he would not switch over. And I think it's people like him. They're playing Pro League. They've worked so hard for these skills. They don't want to start over from scratch. They're getting a little bit older. It's almost time to go to the Army in Korea anyways. I think that's the group of people. I don't have a set ratio, though. I haven't asked enough players to really, get that statistically accurate. But I think that's the general group that would do it. I think the younger guys will just switch over without a problem. And yeah, that's it.
I've also noticed there's a lot of retired pro gamers who are getting into it as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, StarCraft 2 is a great game, and all sorts of retired pros from South Korea are playing the game because, it just kind of reinvigorates them. It's a game that's not dominated by these quick young hands, It's much more thinking going on right now. And that's what these players really excel at, because there are these older players that had to really figure out what to do back in the day. So it kind of reinvigorates them, and that's basically what's going on. A lot of ex-pro gamers are playing StarCraft 2 right now, more and more every day.
Well, not right now, but more and more every day in general. Actually, there's another curious thing. I've started to see news reports come out about houses starting up in Korea, like Paulo and Tester have their own, are just players that I know of that are starting up in these houses. So, could you tell us a little bit about what's going on with all these StarCraft 2 houses?
Sure. they started out with the next team was going to go ahead and do that, but that actually fell apart. And right now there's OGS, which is run by Spunky, really popular guy in the Brood War scene. That has like Tester, The Wind, Cool Foul, and some other players have joined the team recently. That's the best team in Korea right now. They have a house a little bit south of Seoul. And then there's the team called Prime. It's mostly old Warcraft 3 players like Czech. And then there's some other ones who's Wera. That's an old team from Warcraft 3 that has moved over. And these are the three best ones. There's a few others too. I can't think of the names of them right now. But yeah, teams are forming up. People are going together, throwing their rent together to practice because they know, you know what, this is the way you get really good